there's a question you should be asking yourself for every decision that you have to make, big or small. And it's the way that we should all be living our life with every decision, to ask before we make a decision, what would someone that loved themselves do in this situation? Another way to phrase it is, what choice is in alignment with my higher self? Your higher self is pure unconditional love. It loves you. It's pure conscious energy, understanding itself, evolving. So either one of these questions will do. So what would someone that loved themselves do? Or what choice is in alignment with my higher self? And sometimes these can be very obvious, like in terms of perhaps an abusive relationship. Of course, somebody that loves themselves would get out of an abusive relationship. Sometimes the answers to our decisions are far more subtle, and they don't seem to actually have that much effect on our lives. So it can be harder to understand how to understand or perceive the answer and why it matters anyway. So that might be going to a restaurant and ordering, do I want to get the salad or do I want to get the lasagna? What would somebody that loves themselves do? Now, the first mistake would be, instead of using your intuition, which is your guidance system, it would be using your brain to try to figure this out and try to rationalize. And that's where most people get stuck. What would somebody that loves themselves do in ordering a salad or lasagna? One option would be, well, if I really love myself, life is short, I'm just going to eat the lasagna and I'm going to enjoy it, and it's going to be delicious, and then I'll just, I just will be healthier in the next couple days. Or, well, if I really love myself, then I'll choose the salad because it's healthier for me. It has more nutrients. I might not enjoy it as much as the lasagna though, but maybe it will be more delicious because it's not going to taste like my grandma's lasagna, and on and on and on. And so you go, I don't know what my intuition is telling me because I have all these different options, and both of these are good reasons why somebody would choose one of these particular dishes. But that isn't your intuition. That's your brain coming up with logical solutions and fears. Well, I might get fat or have health problems if I eat the lasagna. Well, I might regret getting the salad, and life is short. What if I'm hit by a car tomorrow anyway? It shouldn't matter. Maybe I'll regret getting the lasagna. Okay. So instead, you follow your intuition. So your intuition is your guidance system. It is not coming from your brain. It's feeling into decisions and not necessarily knowing why the answer is the way that it is, or why a particular answer is the correct answer for you. But it's trusting that your higher self and your guidance system works, and that it knows the long-term benefits to that choice. Where the brain should be secondary to the intuition. They need to work together, but in our human consciousness right now, that's just not how they work. So we need to find some sort of balance with them. And the brain is there to figure out how we need to bring our decision into our physical reality and how to interact with that decision. So in the case of ordering food, your intuition says, get the salad. And your brain says, okay, that means I need to close my menu, put the menu down, wait for a server to come over and order the food, because my brain knows that is the correct process in our physical reality to get it. It's a lot easier to do that and have cooperative components bring me my salad instead of trying to conjure a salad in front of me out of nowhere. So the brain helps you put those processes into place that exist in the physical reality. And for more information kind of on intuition versus brain, watch the intuition introductory video. Your brain is your higher self. Your intuition is sort of the internet. Your brain is sort of the laptop or computer processing systems. So your higher self brings in the information, the brain filters it through. So if there's a disconnect and you're only working on the brain level, there's all this information and you can't align what's true. You don't have the wisdom to have the knowledge and experience and maturity to understand what all of this means and what you should be focused and engaged with, or how to proceed. So it's important to understand that. The other thing to understand is that babies are born into this world being completely intuitive, and they feel into decisions. They don't question why they do it. I'm going over here because it feels good. I'm going to go eat that because it feels good. And so we are programmed out of this. We are programmed into using the brain. That doesn't just happen on its own. Now the brain functions, and around the age of, I believe, 7, the different frontal lobes and things start growing, and so there's a natural inclination for more logic and reasoning, but we are sort of indoctrinated out of using intuition and into a hierarchical system of control. And that has a lot of benefits for a lot of people. But we are then sort of fed that intuition is false, it's fake, it doesn't exist, and it is dangerous. People that use intuition or are psychic are either evil or dangerous, or they're frauds, or even the most, usually in our society, the biggest sin is that they're crazy. And all of these things should be avoided at all cost. Therefore, your intuition should be avoided at all cost. It's not a real thing. It's an imaginary, scary thing that's going to lead you into bad situations. So we need to first understand and reclaim that intuition. But it's important to understand how we have grown so distant from it and why we use the brain more than our intuition. And so as children, we aren't allowed the freedom to explore the world under the guidance and safety of our parents, who can guide us and teach us how to use the intuition and how the intuition and the brain work together in a healthy society. In our current society, it's more about this is what we do in this society, this is what is acceptable for these reasons, and here's why it's not. And those are by the authority figures in your life, usually parents, teachers, etc. And that's handed down by other authorities and culture and tradition, which are made by authority figures, whether that's the local governments, the higher governments. This is acceptable in our society, this is not acceptable in our society for all of these reasons, either because it's taboo, it's illegal, whatever. And so it becomes very much, here's how things work, here's how they don't. Instead of allowing people to explore their own realities, create their own realities, really tune in with themselves, it becomes all brain oriented. And so reawakening and reclaiming the intuition should and needs to be one of everybody's main focuses and main goals, especially for this time in society. And the other one is reclaiming self-love. And so by asking those questions again, what would someone that loves themselves do, or what choices in alignment with my higher self, we can have the guidance that we need to flow more into our lives with more satisfaction, more joy, more authenticity. So an exercise that can help you do this is by practicing it. But I want you to only practice it during meditative times first and being able to record them. So meditate, get into alignment, reach those gamma higher brainwave states where you can activate your intuition. And then ask yourself that question, and what are some choices or decisions, big and small, that you have to make today? And so write them down, which direction what road you're going to take today. Should you take this highway or this back road? And just feel into it. Don't think about it, just feel into it and just record it. And maybe you end up taking, as you are doing it later on, you take the opposite road. You just feel like that's the right one, or the other road's closed, and then you can record those results later. But first, be very aware of your engagement with this activity, because it doesn't come natural anymore. So when you are in the moment of, okay, I'm trying to feel into this is an important decision, and you don't have the practice and the experience to have a really clear guidance from your intuition, then that can lead to more fear and more overthinking. So if your brain is very active, then it's, you're already using your brain too much. So do it first during meditation before you start doing it for every question and every day. Once you start feeling more like you can feel into the solutions, and you are really starting to build that trust with yourself, then start doing it with the decisions as they come up. And how do you feel about those? How are you feeling into them? And notice the difference between really obvious decisions and more subtle ones. Orange or apple, sandwich or soup? And I'm using a lot of food decisions because we all have to eat. That's something we can't escape. But do I leave this job or do I stay in this job? And that's, again, the brain might say, well, I have to eat. I have to, here's all my responsibilities. If I love myself, the easier way is to stay in this job. But your heart might be saying, like, this job is killing you. You hate it. You need to leave. And so working with that and working through that and understand what is your programming, your default setting of using your brain to try to logically and rationally fill in all the blanks, and misusing it and having unrealistic expectations of what your brain can accomplish. And that puts a lot of pressure on yourself, because then we start thinking we're stupid if we make the wrong choices. I should have known this. I should have been smarter. I should have seen this coming. You couldn't have, because you weren't using your intuition. So hopefully that practice helps, and it helps strengthen your internal feeling of being able to feel through the decisions that you have in your life and create a little more harmony.